Hello and welcome, members of the Wandaverse. I'm Hannah.
And I'm producer Nick.
And you are listening to episode 36 of Into the Wandaverse, your one and only source into all things Scarlet Witch and friends. And without further ado, let's get into it. I'd like to start the show by thanking once again AJ for being with us last week. It was such an incredible experience to get to interview the guy who made the Wanda who made me a fan. You know, like that really feels like a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Honestly, it was really cool listening back to that interview, and it answered. It kind of answered some questions I had when I was rewatching, watching this second part of season one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's such a shame they didn't get to make season 2 and explore those ideas. I was deep diving after we did the interview into the creative team talking about the direction they would have wanted to take a season 2, and I just RIP to a legend.
It's honestly quite surprising. I mean, we'll get into it, but like quite surprising how bold this season two, end of season one kind of was.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into that in a bit, but we have a whole chunk of news to get through. But just before we do, I want to thank you guys for all of the positive feedback you've given us. Feel free to drop either me or Nick a little DM on the Insta. Feel free to follow Nick and his like film exploits. I'm gonna persuade him to put up some more reels about his DVD collection. But feel free to ask him some questions about it because it is extensive.
Yeah, I added because I'm a crazy person. I now own 3 copies of Avatar on Blu-ray. I've got the extended edition, 3-disc extended edition, the 3D Blu-ray, and I've just added the Steelbook for some reason. So yeah, you can ask me about that if you want to.
Well, I was in a charity shop the other day and I meant to ask you. There were 5 copies of Cars 2. Did you want me to pick you one up?
I mean, I don't understand why you didn't pick up all 5.
Just you with a stack of car sitting on a stack of Cars 2 DVDs. Somebody draw that.
I am, I will turn into that girl with about, what the 127 hours girl, just with Cars toe.
Or the guy who has a basement full of Titanic on
Oh God, the
VHS.
guy with the Titanic. Yeah. I'm actually,
Should we...
I'm really happy as your close confidant and friend that your obsession is the Scarlet Witch. That
Yeah,
your
that my hyperfixation is, well, I do have 3 copies of Rush.
that's a side fixation, but I think
Yeah,
I think the Scarlet Witch one. We have a podcast about it.
we do have a
I don't know if
podcast.
you knew about this, but we have a podcast on the Scarlet Witch.
Yes, and there's been so much news this week. Firstly, have you seen the full-length trailer for Marvel Zombies?
I did, yes.
I'm really hype. I think it looks like it's gonna be violent and a lot of shocks, and it's not gonna be like no one's safe, which for a project like this I think is more fun in that they're obviously not gonna be afraid to kill off some fan favorites.
I'm on the kind of on the other side of this. I'm skeptical. Like I was never really a fan really of the What If version of Marvel Zombies, and I wasn't really a fan of the comic, the cartoon, the comic either. So this has to win me over. Like
Well, I don't like zombies.
so I'm not a zombie guy. Yeah, like I'm okay with horror movies, don't get me wrong, but like I'm not a zombie guy. So
He's lying to you all. He won't come and see The Conjuring 2 with us in cinemas. He's a liar. Don't let him lie on air like that. He will only watch horror movies with the lights on in his own home.
it's I that's inaccurate
Okay, so why aren't you coming to The Conjuring 2 then, Nick?
because I've not seen any of the
I mean,
Conjuring
the
movies.
Conjuring 4, actually. I think it's a 4.
Is
Well,
it the fourth one or is
you've
it like
had multiple times. How many times have I offered to watch The Conjuring with you?
okay? Is this a
Yeah,
Conjuring podcast?
it could be, but anyway, Marvel Zombies, September 24th. They seem to be ramping up the promo. They have released the first wave of Funkos, and I have noticed that on the HMV website there is a hidden listing for some t-shirts, but I've been told that they are not putting out the merch in full to avoid spoilers, and that was an official statement by Brad Winterbaum. So I expect that we'll see a second wave of merch once they drop the show, but I've seen some listings that seem to suggest that there will be a lot more.
Okay.
And then we have the big news for Agatha fans that we are getting an Agatha and Billy collection in the Disney store, which is good because we've all been begging for more merch for about a year and getting nothing back. So I'm really glad to see that they're acknowledging this project. Uh, Could you hear that?
No.
Okay, cool. Miko was trying to make a guest appearance on the podcast. But it's going to be an apparel collection. I have a sneaky suspicion that they're going to be a Loungefly. Don't hold me to that, but I have a feeling that there will be. Um, we also have a brand new Marvel sticker collection just dropped from Panini, which I just stumbled upon in TJ Jones, but it's gorgeous. It's like a full timeline of the Marvel universe in sticker book format.
I saw these. I mean, you went into WH Smith's, and which it will forever be known as. But it's really interesting that like there's been like it was
Fanfare.
there. There's been no
It's
fanfare
not even
because
on
like
the Panini like Instagram
yeah,
or
it's
anything.
really strange because like we sidebar a little bit. Hopefully not a deeper sidebar, but we're kind of into the whole Formula One top attacks cards at the moment.
Yes, we are.
Um, and it's kind of fulfilling a little bit of like that need that we had when we were kids when we were all collecting, the original 151 Pokemon cards and all that kind of jazz. And the Panini sticker thing, like there's a reason Panini stickers they've been football stickers for decades, and the reason they still keep doing them and the reason why they're collectible. It is surprising that they've released these Marvel ones and there's no fanfare. And looking through your video about it, like it's not, they're not just generic, top Trump style artwork. It's not that kind of there's like some really cool art and
It's art from through the years, and I don't know if you saw I just got the album today because I didn't manage to get the album yesterday because I totally forgot that I would need an album for the stickers. And the star pack is only $5.99, and you get 5 packets of stickers and the book has stickers inside, which is a very good price for like that starter kit. It's actually cheaper than the Tops Attacks. Um, and I've had the best time. I stuck them all in today after I did it. Yeah, I would recommend it. Especially it's merch that is very available in Europe, which is good. So our Italian listeners, especially Panini, is huge in Italy. I believe their headquarters are in Italy.
um,
But yeah,
sure.
everything's available on their website. So
I mean,
go.
we've been talking about like there's no kids shows. There's the tiny stuff like the Spidey and His Amazing Friends, but there isn't really for like the older kids, like the soon to be talked about Wolverine and the X-Men. This these Panini stickers thing that like from experience that is like if you're between the ages of like 6 or 7 through to like 12, like this is like prime age for this kind of stuff. That's
Also,
the
the postcards it comes with are
yeah.
gorgeous. If you buy the sets, I've got the Laveria one and the Krakoa. I really want the Avengers Tower one, obviously, because she's an Avenger. She's a
Yeah,
girl.
obviously.
She's a girly pop. The Avengers are for the girls. And obviously we've got New York Comic Con coming up, which apparently is going to be where they do the big news. They skipped regular Comic Con. They announced nothing. I want to make it clear on the podcast. I've made it clear on my TikTok. There was no announcements at D23. The only thing there was,
The announcement was that they have no announcements.
basically, it was a video of Paul Rudd with the Russo brothers. Every banner you have seen, every picture, they showed a video of old footage with
Nothing
the
new in
different
there.
characters they've announced. We also know that Benedict Hunklepork is going to be in um the Avengers Doomsday, so there definitely is a second set of chairs. He doesn't know why he seems baffled why he wasn't in the original announcement because he's long since announced he was in this movie.
I mean, like he's currently in the bit of the what do you call it the marketing at the moment. He's doing some press because he's in the Roses
hmm Olivia
with
Colman.
with the Marvel actress Olivia Colman. Um,
Secret
you know,
Invasion star,
yeah,
Olivia
Secret
Colman.
Invasion, the star of Secret Invasion, and nothing else, Olivia Colman. Um, I think, I think it is interesting that he hasn't been announced, and obviously there was like other names and stuff that haven't been announced that we kind of like,
We
come
know
on,
we're going
why
to be in
we
it.
know this. So it does point to, like I said, we were expecting a second chair video, and obviously that didn't happen.
I wonder if they're going to do it at this New York Comic Con where they apparently are going to look at the future of Marvel television as well. I do wonder. I saw the Man of Tomorrow announcement and people being like, that's how quickly you should put out a sequel, Marvel. Do you guys not remember when you were all complaining that Marvel was putting out too much? Do you not
Yeah,
remember that?
I,
Because
I
I
said this
remember the
last.
glory year of 2021 where every week we had something and y'all were mad about it.
I
So I
mean,
don't want to hear it from everybody else. I was fine.
like, yeah, I said this last week. Stop comparing Marvel stuff to DC, please.
They won't stop. They'll
Stop it.
never stop.
Stop it, guys.
But I think I am really excited to see what's going to come out of they're do Paul and Lizzie are doing a panel. So if you are going, I think they're doing a panel at both conventions they're going to. Lizzie has a movie coming out. So guys, she's going to be on press for eternity. What I don't want you to think is that if she says she doesn't know anything about anything, that means that she's never coming back to Marvel. She's not going to want to be asked about Marvel on the eternity press run. She's not going to want to be asked about it because this is her A24 romantic comedy. So I just want you to remember that when this press run comes up. Though it's a very positive sign that she's choosing to do Marvel convention appearances because she doesn't need the money. She doesn't have to do those if she doesn't want to. So it's a positive sign that she's choosing to do those appearances. I imagine they'll ask her to promote Marvel Zombies as has top billing for Marvel Zombies.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is so exciting. She's gonna, but I know people are gonna be in my comments when she goes in the Eternity press run. She doesn't want to talk about Wanda. People are gonna be mad, and I'm gonna be like, she was never gonna want to talk about it on the Eternity press run.
Can you remind everybody when Marvel Zombies is out?
It's September 24th.
September 24th. Cool.
So we will do a special episode entirely about that. We will do our review. We will talk about it. Um, it's 4 episodes, so I don't think we'll split it in two because we have so much coming up. But we'll do our full review, full deep dive. So make sure you're sat for that. Uh, and we get a Scarlet Witch appearance this year. Who'd have thought? Not me. I think, but yeah, really excited to see what's coming up next. And we're gonna scoot unless Nick has any news, which I don't think he does.
I don't. So I spoke about a couple of weeks ago the Spider-Man 94 cartoon and the fact there's a comic issue, there's a comic series that's kind of sequel comic series. The fan word is it's not great. So I haven't got my hands on it yet. So I'm intrigued to know why that is the case. But it's kind of making me think that just you know if you're wanting obviously we're getting into it Wolverine and the X-Men, but if you're wanting these series to kind of come back, it's got to be the original team because I said this like John Semper isn't involved on this comic, and the word is it just doesn't feel like the cartoon. It doesn't feel like the characterization is there. So
Well, our friend over at Fantastic Conversations is doing a full series right now where he's interviewing all of the original Fantastic Four actors from the unreleased movie, and they're starting a campaign to get it released. So, like, feel free to hop over there and have a listen. I was over on his podcast before the summer. You can check it out. He's so like the fact that he's got everybody, the whole Fantastic Four plus Doom, and I think the writer and director.
yeah, that's heroic conversation.
Sorry, I think of him as the Mr. Fantastic guy. For yeah, heroic conversations. Yeah, I'll stick a story up linking it because he's just releasing the series now. It's well worth a listen. I'm gonna be tuning in. Um, but yeah, we are going to talk about Wolverine and the X-Men. I
Oh
think
my
that was the
God,
right way around this time.
she got the title right.
Woohoo! Yeah, favorite show can't get the title right to save her life. It's just because I prioritize the X-Men over Wolverine. I don't care for him. Never have.
The
But
title character of the show. So,
yeah,
this is episodes, let me get this right, 12, I think we said,
yeah.
all the
Episode
way
12.
12 to 26. Now, Wanda's she is in, where we're looking at. She was in the episode with Nightcrawler, so that was episode 10, and then she kind of just appears kind of like sporadically, and then she appears for in episode 15. So episode 15 is kind of like the main episode with her, where she ends up on a um like a TV show with
Yeah, they're in like a
Nightcrawler.
bubble.
Yeah,
It's a lot of I like how this show did a bunch of wild ass concepts. They were not afraid to be like this is still the era where you could have a good ass filler episode. Like it's not maybe directly relevant to the main plot, but like the filler episode is something you can get your teeth into, which is what I like about this period of children's TV. And it was um you know like where they expected children to be able to, well, not children, like tweens, to be able to handle more complicated ideas. And it's a children's show, and these days children's shows are a lot of them. I do like, not to be like these days, but like, I still tune into children's cartoons because I enjoy that. Like I watch Camp Snoopy, and I just feel like the I like when children's shows are unafraid to be a little bit complicated and a little bit fun. Like Wolverine is crazy in this episode. Like literally, he's got like a thing in his head that's making him feral, and he's like attacking her and Kurt. And also, it's a demonstration of her powers. Her powers in the show are very much just sort of, she just kind of does hex bolts. There's not a lot of probability manipulation or chaos magic at work here. It's just kind of she's shooting bubbles from her hands.
yeah.
They didn't dive into her power set really at all.
You didn't, yeah. There's no this is quite a basic version of Wanda, isn't it? In this show, it's like they've kind of got the characterization right on a kind of surface level. We see that with her relationship with Pietro and her relationship with Magneto, but other than that, it's kind of like she shoots red things at things, and there's nothing really else to it. It's just like another like generic power. I think when we spoke about the X-Men 3 script a few episodes ago, the characterization in Wanda in that is was very much the same as this. So yeah. It's quite I gotta say, like, looking through these episodes, and obviously, Wanda, apart from really this episode 15, like, she's kind of, like I said, sporadic. She's just then kind of a part of the general story on Genosha. It's kind of insane, like, how much, like, information and how much storyline is kind of like thrown in each of these episodes. They are so dense. I think it's like
Mm-hmm.
episode like 20 or 21. Like there's like three different storylines kind of going on all at
Mm-hmm.
once, and they're all as important as each other. It's not an A, B, or C story plot line. It's like they're all A, and you all got to pay attention to all three of them. Um, it's
Yeah.
I think with Wanda's characterization in here, I understand, like, when you spoke a couple weeks ago about what it was about her that made you look to her, and made you think that this is a character that you're really drawn to. I understand why you thought that way, and it's like it's a testament to kind of how well it does it. It's like one of these kind of characters. She has a lot more agency than
Mm-hmm.
someone like Lorna.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, Lorna's very much the baby sister
Yeah.
in
And Lorna
this.
has a whole episode where she gets duped by Gambit, and I felt really guilty. I felt really bad for her. Um, and but like I understand why, as you as like a preteen girl just doesn't go, oh, I'm gonna, I'm totally a Lorna Polaris stan. But instead, you look towards Wanda, who has a lot more agency and a lot more power and a lot more authority.
I
Um,
think it helps that I tuned in. Like the episode that was just on was. the one where she first appears and it literally pans up and down her. It gives her this. They managed to give every character kind of a main character moment, I would say. Like, I really felt when they like introduced her and he was like, "I'd like you to meet the Scarlet Witch." I thought because I only saw that episode, like to start off with, I thought that she was this was like a beginning episode and she was like the main female character
Yeah.
because of the way it was structured. And I do think that it's something the show does very well. Is like this is one of Emma Frost's first on screen moments, and it gives her a lot of um coverage and really celebrates her. And I do think that, yeah, Lorna's storyline wasn't that interesting to me. I knew who Magneto was before I watched this show. I don't know how I knew. I think I probably came across him in maybe comics I was reading or something. It was
I mean,
too long ago
the
to know
movie
why.
would have been out though. Like X-Men, you at least maybe have seen X-Men
I
one or
don't
two.
think I'd seen the first X-Men movie. I really don't think I'd seen it. My parents didn't take me to see it in cinemas. We didn't have it on DVD. So maybe I had a cultural awareness of who he was.
I mean, this was 2009, so X-Men Last Stand had been out at this point, and like from memory serves, there was a lot of X-Men stuff out there. Because like 2006 was the summer of Superman Returns, and 2007 was the summer of Spider-Man 3 and X-Men: The Last Stand. What a summer that was. Um,
I didn't see either of those movies in
Okay,
cinemas.
it's interesting. It's interesting that you kind of had did have an understanding about who he was, who Magneto was, without actually,
I
seeing the
think I might
character.
have seen some of X-Men 97.
Yeah,
Um,
because
I think that's where I had seen him from initially.
this was on was this on Jetix for you? Was it
This was no, this was on the BBC for like the CBBC for me. It came on after Witch Club, which was my big obsession at the time. Um,
was Mona the Vampire still a thing back then for you?
yeah, well, yeah, when I was young, like it was on, but I was more into that when I was younger. This was very much I was into girls who were cool and looked feminine but had powers was very important to me. That's what really drew me to Wanda is that like she shows up and she is her motivations are all emotional. And that was very important to me because it's we're like feminism at the time and kind of characters that I was also really into Twilight at this point. Because I read the books before I saw any of the movies. And I was really into the idea that women could be emotional and powerful and have these complicated relationships because we were starting to see, not quite yet, but we're starting to head towards like Katniss Everdeen type
Yeah.
female main characters who are quite. I love Katniss, but every female character after Katniss, it became very much like you had to kind of be an unemotional woman to be feminist. And I really like the idea of girls that were really powerful but still had like this familial connection. Obviously, I just thought it was really cool that Magneto had a kid and that she was cool.
So that was kind of
That the bad guy had a daughter was
so that
interesting to me.
my question would have been, but it's worth kind of bringing it up at this point. So a lot of this back half of this season is based around the mystery of what happened to Jean Grey, and then it goes into that, and it goes into the whole Phoenix stuff, and we look into the Phoenix storyline a little
Hmm.
bit, and there's a lot of stuff in there. So it's there's a lot of like Jean Grey is the most powerful, one out there, and but a lot of her powers, a lot of like how the power is kind of seen is like it's a kind of like a burden, and it's not seen, it's seen as like a curse, and it's this kind of emotional attachment. Like the Phoenix comes out in like high episodes of stress, and then you got someone like Emma Frost, who I think is probably the most well written character in the show.
Yeah,
And like it's interesting, like her storyline is probably, I genuinely believe like her storyline, like arc through the show, is the most interesting one of everybody. I think I said this like a couple weeks ago, but like seeing where her storyline goes, it makes me think, okay, like I understand why you didn't go for Emma Frost, because she was quite duplicitous and backstabbing, but also like very complicated, and like very very torn up. And I can understand why for someone like you're talking about like looking towards stronger characters who have a power set, who have this strong agency about them. It's understandable now for me to think, okay, no, I can see why you were drawn to Wanda rather than Emma Frost and Jean Grey.
I think that also it does help that the episode I turned on, I'm going to give it to that, was this introduction to her. I also, again, I really hate, and if I had known, I had no idea that House of M was a thing, and this doesn't touch on that. I hate the trope where a woman is really powerful, is hysterical, cannot control her powers,
Which is
because
kind of
it's
what happens
not a
to
trope
Jean
you.
Grey. It's
Well,
kind
yeah,
of
it's
yeah,
it's my biggest turn off with Jean, and it has always been because the good thing about the Marvel not having had the rights to No More Mutants for so long is that they haven't goddamn done it. It's never been a thing that's adapted. They always want to do Phoenix with Jean Grey, even though, like, we're so far out from that in her comics. We're so far away from that entire storyline. And I just think it's such a reductive female stereotype. And it's why I never understand why people who are feminist love House of M for Wanda. Because if you have read her comics up until that point, it's so out of character and so it's such an anti-feminist move, and like it's so, we've had this whole healing storyline for Wanda, and then she's nuts, and her personality shifts dramatically in order to make it happen because she's been such a caring and maternal figure, especially because she's been with the Avengers for since the 60s. There's points in the comics where she's being a friend to Natasha, but she is almost looking to her like, she's this more experienced woman at times in romantic relationships. There's scenes where she's kind of sitting with Natasha, especially in her early relationship with Clint, and she's like comforting her. And I'm like, and then after House of M, she's like, I don't care about any of anyone. Like, who is that woman? Like, it's so. And then people since, obviously, she disappears from comics for like 5 years because no one knows how to bring her back from that because it's just unlike, well, yeah, like Jean had to die after Phoenix because you can't. They love to take these female characters, and Wanda's powers had been slowly building up and building up, and what was happened in 1994 is they give her this new element of witchcraft where she's very much in control, and you've seen that run. And I would love, and in the subsequent Avengers run, we see her becoming confident in being a decision maker and in commanding respect. And then in the George Perez run of the late 90s, she's such a stable Avengers member right up until, like, well, Avengers disassembled, and suddenly she's nuts and she's unable to control herself. And I'm like, oh, it just makes me feel, if you are a Wanda stan, you love House of M. I doubt you've really delved into the rest of her comics in a linear fashion, because if you look at it as a completed storyline, and I don't know how the Jean Grey stans feel. I know they don't like me. A lot of Jean Grey fans and Wanda fans are at war, which I don't know why. I think it's just women getting compared to each other.
that's
But I
very
don't know
strange.
how the Jean Grey fans view the Phoenix storyline.
Mm.
But I fear, I don't know how well it's accepted. I don't think I've read the Madeline Pryor stuff because I actually love Madeline Pryor, but I haven't so much delved into Jean. I just kind of like her at a distance. Like, I have respect for the woman, but like I would love to speak to a Jean Grey fan about how they feel about the handling of Phoenix and if they feel it was in character or not. But yeah, I think that's what, again, like, if you read Wanda's comics right up until 2005, even her turns to the dark are very much kind of episodal TV moments. Like there's an episode of Charmed where they're possessed. That's very much how Wanda's turns to the dark feel before um Disassembled and House of M. They're very much like a one issue turn to the dark. It's like a Captain Hydra throwaway moment. Whereas, like, obviously, House of M, she like doubles, triples, fucking stands 10 toes down in it afterwards, which just doesn't make any sense. And I really wish they would decanonize all that stuff, and I feel like they could. I understand why they can't decanonize House of M because it's so iconic at this point, but I do think that, like, they could at least say she was possessed through some of those conversations she has directly after House of M, or just delete them from canon because they're so wild
It's like
to me
it
personally.
is it is interesting. Like this version of Wanda kind of came out in 2009 which is before Children's Crusade. Am I right in thinking?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's still in comic limbo at this
she's
point.
she's 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 well in comic limbo at this point. And yeah, so like a lot of the characters in this show, um, a lot of the characters in this show kind of just have very side roles. Um, and like for example, Storm, like incredibly powerful character, is barely in it.
Hmm.
And then, but Wanda is kind of given like you've kind of got like a tier of like kind of characters like Cyclops, Emma Frost, Wolverine, Jean Grey, Xavier, and Magneto, arguably tier one, and then tier two is like your Nightcrawler, Wanda's in there, I think, Pietro, Rogue, like those kind of characters, and then tier three is like Storm for some reason and Beast
It's nice
and
to see Pietro he's very much been Wanda has risen up to new levels of fame, and they have just chosen not to bring Pietro with her. Like he
which is a
very much,
shame because like in this show like we see some of that relationship, we see that sibling relationship, and it does like there's a bit where like Pietro is like annoying Wanda by like running around her, so she
yeah,
just
it's one of my
trips him up with his
favorites.
powers, and I'm just like that's like what I want to see. Like why wasn't that in Age of Ultron?
It's such a
um
shame that they decided. I think because the Evan Peters version of Quicksilver became so well. Pete again, he's literally called Peter Maximoff. It's why like we really lost comic Pietro is at his core an arsehole. That is like his whole very much characterization. I feel I and like I honestly feel like Star Lord in the MCU does dip into Pietro territory, but not without the harsh edge because Pietro has a very harsh edge, kind of at all times, and he has some questionable robot racism and such. I want to do a Quicksilver episode at some point because I feel like we don't talk about him enough. Purely because like he is left out of Wanda now. When you have a two pack in the past, you would have gotten a Wanda and Pietro in a two pack, and now it's always. I would argue that Pietro was the more significant twin because of his connection with the X Men for a longer period of time, and Wanda has obviously eclipsed him in popularity in every way, shape, or form. But I feel like the Wanda fandom would be very accepting of Pietro having a larger role. I think they just can't decide in the MCU. They feel like they're reluctant to revive Aaron Taylor Johnson's version, and then Evan Peters doesn't. I don't feel like his energy really matches our MCU Wanda. But I would just really love to see. I would love to see the Magnet family in general. So Magneto, Lorna, Quicksilver get as much. I want to see them as a unit. They're very much doing it in the comics at the moment. And oh, I forgot to say this in news, but over in Marvel Rivals, Wanda is getting a little Pietro charm for as
ah
in the new series, and Magneto is getting a little Lorna charm, which is so cute. I'd love to see them in the game, but
do we think that I mean this is kind of we're now kind of getting onto speculation territory. Do we think that we're going to revisit, but they're going to revisit Pietro in any form in the MCU?
I think so. I think with the reintroduction of um the mutants and Magneto, I would be very shocked if we're going to meet Magneto and there's Ian McKellen has spoken extensively about how much he'd like to interact with the twins. I don't think we'll get to touch on Lorna, unfortunately. But I would be shocked if we got nothing.
Yeah,
I would love to see Pietro back, and lots of people would. I imagine that obviously he was killed off because he was so prevalent in the X-Men films, but I feel like that was a mistake. I guess I just felt they didn't have room for him with I guess with the cast of characters they've chosen because they have gone for this very the early MCU was very dominated by a singular male personality, which was the Tony Stark in several different fonts because
yeah.
he was so successful. I think they didn't know how to pull off Pietro's like an arsehole. Like Tony's an arsehole, but there is always a level of levity to it. I think if they'd gone ahead with the Inhumans in the way that they were going to, we might have seen. They might have been more committed to Pietro because obviously he is very connected to Luna, his daughter, and like Crystal is his wife. So I wonder if the Inhumans had continued to be a thing, if we would have seen them explore him more. But I guess again, he was killed off so early and in such a dumb way. I can't wait till we revisit Age of Ultron so I can just completely rant about how much I hate the twins introduction.
Yeah, no, for our listeners, there is a plan for us to go through the MCU one by one. So
I've been getting so many requests for us to do that. I get quite a lot of requests for us to talk about the extended what I'm doing right now, which is they really want me to talk about the extended Wanda universe, so like Crystal and Luna, and then like the periphery members of this family.
yeah,
So we'll
you,
definitely do a family
you
tree exploration.
you did do a really good TikTok ages ago about Lorna, if I remember rightly.
No, I
Is
don't
it
think I
Lorna?
have done. Don't think I have done a Luna TikTok. I recently talked about Crystal.
You did one ages ago, months and months ago, about somebody. It was like a deep dive on a
I
character.
deep dived quite a lot. I used to do that a lot on my TikTok. I haven't been
Yeah.
doing it so much recently, and I should. I should sit down. I have to write a script for that, and
Yes.
I'm so lazy because I used to script all of these as well. My early podcast episodes, I used to come with pages and pages of script, and now I just chat to Nick.
If you want a behind the scenes picture, ask Hannah really nicely, and she might post it up on her Instagram.
I do still have all my scripts. I kept them all because it's this. You guys really don't know how much this podcast kind of means to me. Like, this is my baby, in that, like, obviously my TikTok is very special to me, but this is like the culmination of an autistic special interest.
This is like the TikTok just with no leash.
Yeah, because on
Like
TikTok, I
you got
know
a
that
dog, you got a dog on it with a collar, and you're taking him around the streets, and like you avoiding all the cars, and that's what it's like being on TikTok. And then when you get to a field, you just unhook, and then there it goes.
I want you to all picture that I'm wearing the bob wig right now.
Are you actually wearing the bob wig?
I am. I
Do we
put it
have a
on.
name? Do we have a name yet for this persona?
No, but I need to say something. The
Uh-oh.
last three TikToks I have posted, right? People have asked questions in the comments that I have said in the video. Like, I have said it sometimes multiple times. I love you all so much, but before you ask a question, I'm gonna need you to watch the whole video or listen. I
Come on,
really need
guys.
it because I said that I bought something from TJ Jones about 4 times in the video. And I also mentioned where else you could buy it. And in the comments, people were like, where can I get this?
I mean, to be fair on that point, nobody knows where TJ Jones is. If you just said WH Smith, which is what it's actually called, then I think people would
But I
understand.
did also list the Panini website.
No, that's true. I think no, it is
Or
basic
in my
basic
Marvel Zombies
attention
video,
span.
the
Yeah,
comments on that were the trenches
I
of people
saw.
saying things that I mentioned in the video.
Yeah, come
I
on,
love you
guys.
all so much. I really do. And I don't want to be. I actually, no. I do just want you to listen to me. It is insulting that I think of your questions for you. I'm thinking of you. I want to give you the information. I'm the Scarlet Witch news girly. That's my thing. But I will say it in the video. If it's an important piece of information, it's very rare. And if I have thought of something, I'll usually say in the comments. Like,
So,
I
guys,
want to give you this.
we are looking for a name for Hannah and the Bob. Like we have been brainstorming. So if you can send your ideas, we will please suggestions send them to
And
Hannah or
if
myself.
you're a if you're a
On
podcast only listener, the wig is an Edna Mode wig, basically.
yeah,
It's a black bob with a fringe, and I have glasses.
yes.
And it's made its TikTok debut with me talking about Ferrari. But I've worn it on live a bunch of times now, and the wig is gonna start to come out, especially when we're doing the rewatch. Know that the wig is on.
Yeah.
Honestly, some of the Doomsday rumors have me having the wig on.
The wig is on. So can I ask where are we at with Wolverine and the X-Men?
I want to say that the rewatch was satisfying. Like, I was gutted there's not more, but as I obviously I wanted more Wanda, but it holds up to me the test of time. I did not watch the first time I watched it. I only saw a couple episodes because I was just watching it when it was on CBBC. Like I wasn't like dedicatedly, and it was on sporadically for me personally. But I've watched it a couple times through, but usually I just watch the Wonder episodes. But I think it's really good, and I do mourn the lack of the second season. I like it so much more than X-Men Evolution, which we're going to talk about at some point, that I have so little interest in.
I X-Men Evolution was the one I watched, and that was the one I liked. But for me, going through Wolverine and the X-Men, it's kind of insane how much is in these episodes, and it's kind of also really surprising how much I cared about certain characters that I was just like, oh, I didn't really think about you before in that way. And now I'm like, Emma Frost was fucking great. What are you talking about? And Jesus Christ, January Jones was done wrong, done dirty. Um, but that's a whole other
She
story.
was.
That's a whole other story. But in terms of this, like this is 2009, and it kind of feels what, 16 years now. Like, yeah, no, it feels like we don't have this anymore. We said this, we've said this. Like, this show is aimed at like preteens, like that kind of age where you're like 11, 12, 13, 14, and like there are no shows out there for
We
them.
need this. We
And
need this. Especially Avengers Assemble as well is one of my favorite shows to rewatch. And Wanda and Pietro was there was also this is a lore drop that I knew about in my subconscious, but I saw recently. The version of Avengers Assemble that we got was not the one that was planned. The lineup was originally supposed to include Wanda and Pietro. It
yeah,
was supposed to be focused more on the Caps Cookie Quartet era, and then have again they were reluctant to use because they knew that they were going to introduce Iron Man separately. They wanted to not introduce him in an Avengers lineup immediately. But I mourn every day we didn't get. Also, I mourn. I'm gonna say it. I mourn not getting the original versions of Ant-Man and the Wasp, especially Janet. As much as Zoe Deschanel is a person, I think she would have been such a fun Janet.
no, I agree. And also Evangeline Lilly is also a person. Like I think her Janet has been fine.
Well, she's not Janet, she's Hope. That's the whole
Hope,
thing.
sorry,
Hope is
not
not a
Janet.
real.
Sorry.
Hope is like an AU child. It's such a bizarre. It's not like Franklin. Like Franklin is the. I also want to clear up a rumor. Vanessa, well, not a rumor, an allegation. Vanessa Kirby said Sue Storm is Marvel's first pregnant superhero, and she means in the comics, Sue Storm was the first pregnant superhero of all time. Pregnant women. It was such a step forward, and Franklin is like the first baby
Hmm.
ever born to a super couple. And so, like, when we're talking about Hope, Hope is like from an alternative timeline. Franklin is canon, and so is Valeria. So, like, I will never speak dirty on their names. You know, I'm not
Nope.
a kid superhero person, Bucky Barnes aside. But, like, I've never been a big fan of, like, the superheroes have kids and now the kids are super, which is why I'm never, like, into Teen Titans and stuff. Never was my cup of tea. But don't speak ill on Sue Storm's name. And Vanessa Kirby is right, and she does her research. Wanda was the first Marvel mother, but like, well, I guess Hawkeye had kids first technically, but she was the first mother in MCU.
Don't
But
give Clint Barton credit. What are you doing right now?
look, the Clint fans have been the Clint fans have been selling me out in my shop, so I will never speak ill of the Clint fans ever
Okay.
again. My like obsession is my vintage store right now. Thank you to the Clint Barton stand. Thank you to everybody who's bought, but like Clint Barton stands clear me out. Like they're active. I did not know he had shooters like that. But yeah, I think that X Men: The Wolverine stands the test of time, and Marvel, we are begging you to give us a show like this for preteens because we'll all be sat too. If you like, people crave. It's why Thunderbolts has had this second life online. Is people crave that team dynamic in a fun team space that we are just not getting in the main MCU, and
On
there's not time for filler.
honestly,
Disney Plus is.
Honestly, I was gonna say, like, honestly, like, I follow quite a few like different subreddits. It's honestly shocking how many people have just gone, "Oh, I watched Thunderbolts. Oh my God, it was really good." I'm like, "Why didn't you see it in the cinema? Why didn't you see it in the cinema?" And then like other people are just saying like, "I watched Thunderbolts and the team they said the team. I really love the fact that this kind of team is like working like this. It's so different to the Avengers in this kind of way." And it's like, okay, well say that then, like show support for this, like if you know like you
It's breaking streaming records, which is so frustrating.
it's so frustrating because like it was not, despite what the narrative is, it was not a box office failure and under any circumstances, but the narrative is that it's on a par with like Eternals, which also wasn't really a box office failure. The only like Marvel movies aren't really box office failures. They're just seen as disappointing against other Marvel movies, especially when one of them is like the highest grossing movie of all time. I need to get a bob wig out, I think. But
Should I get you a wig and we'll both wear them when we're doing these because I think we should be brutal with these rewatches. I think the people want me to be controversial. I'm going to be when we rewatch these movies, you will be hearing from me how much I hated Ant-Man and how I don't care for Guardians of the Galaxy.
I mean,
Like you're going to hear the deep takes.
you're gonna hear me do my film theorist talk. I think is the my film historian and
We
my
should get
film
you a
bro.
beret so you can be Truffaut, a curly wig so you can be Truffaut.
Yeah. Yeah, give me a cigarette, a long, very
We
long,
we
thin, thick cigarette.
we need our controversial opinion wigs, definitely. And I might draw us as stick figures
So
with our.
the point that we I think we're really kind of like linking on with this Wolverine and the X-Men watch is that there needs to be shows like this on Disney Plus. There needs to be shows like this on CBBC or whatever the equivalent is nowadays. There needs to be shows like this. It's also like shows like this are why movies like K-pop Demon Hunters is doing phenomenally with a certain age group as well as the usual K-pop fans. But it's like there is an appetite there for it. For God's sake, guys, like you want that bridge. Like Hannah has said it a million times. You want that bridge between the kids that watch Spidey and his amazing friends and the kids that will go out and see an Avengers movie opening day. You need that bridging. We had that bridging growing up. I had it with Spider-Man 94, X-Men, the X-Men show, X-Men Evolution. Hannah had it with Wolverine and the X-Men. Like, why isn't it out? Why isn't it now that out there? So there is an appetite for it, and it needs to have it needs to be out there because like there is an appetite for it, and like there is so much good talent. Like we had this amazing chat with AJ, and it's incredible that this guy, is been he's been doing Netflix stuff, which is great. He's getting paid and what have you, but it'd be great for him to, for guys like him, for women like him to like work on shows like Wolverine and the X-Men again.
Absolutely.
Designing iconic characters like Wanda.
Yeah, give us a redesign, baby. So next week we are going to be talking about a different cartoon, one that you guys quote at me quite regularly, which is if you want to be like ready, listening ready. There are tie-in comics, but we're not going to discuss those right now, so don't worry, you don't have to do too much homework. We're going to be talking about Avengers United They Stand, which is another one of my favorites. Like because I think this is the best Wanda powers. I think that X-Men and the Wolverine is the best. Wolverine the X-Men, sorry, is the best Wanda characterization. But this is a close second. I have a lot of affection for this show. Hated on, especially when Iron Man exists. I love this one. I think it's such a great exploration of Wanda and her internal relationships. So we're going to talk about the first half of that show, and then we have an interview with that kind of changed my life a little bit with Stravola, who played Wanda in this show. She was our first Wanda on the show. We're going to try and collect them all, but she's our first Wanda on the show. So please, please, please be kind and like so welcoming to her. I know you all will be, but like she holds a little piece of my heart. Um, Nick will agree. This was a really special interview.
It was obviously we'll get into it. It was an interview that I was quite I felt quite privileged to kind of be sat on the sidelines watching, to be honest with you. So yeah, no, honestly, really. really something.
That was such a special moment.
But
Such a
we'll
special.
get into that. We'll get into
But
that in a couple of
but
weeks.
yeah, we will be doing that. So next week, watch the first half of Avengers United They Stand and say, Winds of Destiny, change as many times as you can. I think we should start getting all the guests to say that when they come on. I love it. But if you can't wait for more of us, you're just like absolutely hankering for it. You can find me over at Into the Wonderverse on TikTok, the Wonderverse on Instagram, the Wonderverse on Twitter, and basically everywhere else.
And you can find me mainly on Instagram, but also on
Woohoo!
TikTok on the Film Nick, where I do post stuff.
Yes, he does. He's doing good.
Yeah, I could post more, but I'm trying my best. And the Letterboxd, the Film Nick also.
He's been watching The Maze Runner, but he's done with that. Twilight is coming so soon, guys. We're gonna watch Twilight in a weekend. Me, him, and my best friend and his, I guess his fiance.
Yeah.
But my best friend, more importantly, my sister,
S-
Emily.
So
Um,
yeah, no, Twilight will be happening at some point because it's fall season. Um,
uh, 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 uh.
and yeah, so that'll be an interesting experience for a 35-year-old man
It
to
would be
do
so,
for the first time.
it would be so fun. And I've been watching. You can find me on Letterboxd at Hannah Maximoff. I mostly am watching true crime and Formula One movies. And our song is by Melody Ray Griffiths. Our gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous artwork is by Lily, who you should all worship and check out. And she's currently over on Twitter drawing Wanda kissing different people. Gorgeous artwork, so worth seeing. And until I see you next time, stay magical. Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain.
I can't hear you.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Okay.